For more on this, we can bring in Kim Aris, the son of Nobel Peace Prize laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. Kim, thank you so much for joining the program today. Now, as we heard, the second phase of voting is underway. But before we get into that, I want to ask you how your mother is doing. Because last month you said you feared for her health, and the junta publicly rebutted this, saying she's fine. Since then, have you had any update about your mother's health or her whereabouts?
We haven't heard anything further. The military has not provided any further evidence of her condition or her whereabouts. And as far as we're aware, she has still been held in prison around Naypyidaw, and her health is ailing. She's 80 years old now, and she's been held on completely trumped up charges.
Now, it's been nearly 5 years since the military deposed your mother in a coup. Her National League for Democracy party has been banned. The first phase of voting was already completed. The Army's favored party, the Union Solidarity and Development Party, obviously came out on top. So, what are your thoughts about the ongoing election?
Well, obviously, seeing as the democratically elected government are all remain in prison, these elections are a complete sham. And I'm afraid to say that the military are only holding these elections in order to try and gain some legitimacy internationally. But internally, the struggle will remain the same, if not get worse, after these elections.
Right. So, as you mentioned, it's been widely dismissed as a sham. Do you think the international community, ahead of these elections, could have done more to support the pro-democracy movement since the coup?
Absolutely. There's a great deal more the international community could have done. I realise that there are many conflicts around the world at the moment, and Burma is just one of many that many people have never heard of. But it's one of the conflicts that could have been solved by now with a little bit of help from the outside world.
Now, Kim, we've also heard reports from that first round of voting that despite junta coercion, people who were speaking out found themselves 10 years in prison, that there was very low voter turnout. And, today it's voters in your mother's old constituency who are going to the polls. How do your mother's supporters and others in Myanmar feel about these elections?
Well, they realise just how much of a sham they are. After all, the military have continued bombing the population up until this point. And like you said, they're forcing people to vote by arresting them for up to 10 years. And they're even kidnapping children as young as 2 years old in order to force their parents to vote. So anybody can see that there's nothing free or fair about them.
And we've been, discussing that this does not appear to be a legitimate election. But what are the junta's objectives here with holding this election? I mean, what are they hoping to achieve?
Well, like I said, they're trying to achieve some legitimacy in the eyes of the international community. And I guess they would like to see a return to peace, but they're not going to achieve that whilst they continue to bomb their own people in subjugation.
Now, Kim, one of the things that they had said, the junta leader had said, was that this will bring political stability. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not.
As you said, they're still in the midst of a rather bloody civil war. Pro-democracy groups who weren't banned outright, not participating in the poll. Do you see at some juncture that there'll be more stability in the aftermath?
When the military are defeated, then we shall see some stability, and that time will come. We have to remember that the military are actually in a worse position now than they were at the beginning of the coup. They may have clawed back some territory, but they still are in control of less than 50% of the landmass now. And it's not likely that they're going to win this battle because the people have made their will very clear. They are not going to accept any form of military rule moving forwards.
Now, is there an opportunity here for China or India to mediate, to offer negotiations? Do you suppose?
One can hope, but China has often supported the military over the years, and we can only hope that they'll realise that the military are not good business partners and that they should be backing the other side.
Now, if the junta maybe not achieves its goals, but at least completes this election, do you think that there's a possibility here that they might release your mother to house arrest as a gesture of goodwill after the elections wrap up?
It's a possibility, and I do truly hope that she is moved somewhere where we at least know what her condition is. And, it'd be nice if she was allowed to communicate with me, as is her basic human right, and have meetings with her legal team and all the rest of it. But we can only wait and see.
Now, Kim, I want to ask you because the International Court of Justice is going to be holding public hearings this coming week in a case in which Myanmar is accused of committing genocide against its Rohingya community. I mean, this case it goes back to 2019. Your mother initially testified in defense of the government, and that was a decision that at the time drew a lot of criticism. Do you think that was a misstep for her?
No, I don't think it was. I think she was doing what she needed to do, and people are mistaken if they say she was defending the military. She was defending the country against these charges because it was going to cause even further instability, which it did. And unfortunately, the international community criticised my mother when she was actually the one person who was doing more for the Rohingya than anybody else.
And Kim, one final question for you. Myanmar obviously has shown a desire for democracy in the free elections where your mother came out on top. Do you feel optimistic that the country can put itself at some point back on that path?
Absolutely. I have great hopes for Burma's future. This military regime cannot last forever. They have been around for many decades now, but things change. That's the way of it. And hopefully it will change sooner rather than later so that we can end all this unnecessary suffering.
Kim, thank you so much for speaking with us today on the program. That's Kim Aris, son of Nobel Peace Prize laureate Aung San Suu
So
Kyi.
thank you.